It's great to see everyone over here right now. Those of you who are still coming in, who are still dialing in, just in the chat box, let us know which city you are dialing in from. It would be great to get a feel of the audience spread. So Nikunj, welcome. You are dialing in from Pune. I see another Nikunj from Mumbai. So great to see both the Nikunjas over here. Thank you for being here. We are just going to wait for another 30-40 seconds for everyone to stream in. Zoom takes a moment to connect. So I'm just going to wait for a minute for everyone to come in before we kickstart this extremely interesting session on how to build your international career through an HKU MBA. So we are going to talk quite a bit about it. We are going to talk to their senior executive director. We are going to talk to a couple of the alumni and get a feel of the whole HKU MBA program. But before we kickstart this, I'm still going to wait for another 30 seconds. So please let us know which city you're dialing in from. So Sam from Jaipur, and that's a very beautiful spelling of Jaipur, but you got that wrong over there. Prateek from Pune, Swapnil from Pune, great to see both of you over here. Also, in the meanwhile, while we wait for the audience to come in, let me take this opportunity to run our first poll as well. So those of you who are already over here and you have clarity on this, through the poll, through your response to this poll, please let us know which year do you intend to start your MBA journey. So if you can see on your screen right now, there's a poll which is live. Let us know which year, whether it's 2022, 2023, 2024, or if you haven't made up your mind, let us know which year are you aiming to enroll in an MBA program. All right. So I do have the responses coming in. I see around 50 people have responded to the poll right now, with more than 115 attendees in the room. So if you haven't yet responded to this poll, please take a moment and let us know which year do you intend to start your MBA journey. All right, I'm going to keep this poll open for another 30 seconds. So please do respond to the poll and let us know which is your target year for starting your MBA journey. All right. So I see around 65 people who have responded to this poll. So I'm going to end it now, and I'm going to quickly share the results as well. So if you can see on your screen, around 20%, 19 to 20% of the audience are targeting the 2022 intake. So you are just in time to still make an application and get through for the 2022 intake. So that's good to see your interest. Around 43% are targeting 2023, and the remaining around 35, 37% are either undecided or looking at the 2024 intake. So thank you for sharing this insight. At this point, let me stop the poll and invite our first speaker for today's session. So let me invite Sachin Tempnis, who is the Senior Executive Director for the MBA program, the EMBA program, plus 7 specialized master's programs that are offered by the University of Hong Kong's Business School, so the HKU Business School. So I'm going to invite Sachin to talk to us, take us through the highlights of their MBA program over the next 10 to 15 minutes. And then we are going to interact with the alumni, which are basically Vaishali, Shreya, and Akshay. And I'm going to invite them to share their insights and experiences as well. You will be able to ask them any questions that you have, and I assure you that they'll be as candid as required. So you can ask them your questions in the Q&A chat box as well. So if you have any questions for the panel or for Sachin, you can post your questions in the Q&A chat box. But for the time being, I'm going to invite Sachin to take us through the highlights of the HKU MBA program. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for introducing us, and a very warm welcome to each one of you for participating in this webinar for HKU MBA full-time program. Of course, the main course today is to listen to the alums of the HKU MBA program, including myself. I'm also an alum. So let me first talk about our MBA program. And I'm going to talk about more in the perspective of the career services, because that's the topic for today. I'm sure that's one of the very important part for choosing an MBA program. And it kind of connects with what Vaishali, Shreya, and Akshay want to talk about. How did they develop their global careers? Next slide, please, Renee. So first, I'm going to talk about what's our curriculum structure, because our curriculum structure itself is such design that it attributes or contributes towards having a global career as such. So it's a 1-year intensive program. And within this 1 year, the first 8 to 9 months would be in Hong Kong, right? So in this first 8 to 9 months in Hong Kong, your focus will be on Asia business. We want to make sure that you understand the regional business really well. We want to make sure that you really understand how to do business in Asia, which is one of the biggest markets for any brand, for any company. Within this Asia focus, China plays a very important role. So we'll make sure that there is Asia-focused electives and courses, but there is a strong element of China immersion so that you are able to understand how the Chinese economy works. Now, this will give you a very solid base for Asia. But then the world is interconnected. You need to know what's happening around the world, what's happening in the global business as such. And that's where our tracks come in. So HKU MBA is such design that you'll be able to then go to London Business School, LBS in London for 3 to 4 months and do 4 to 5 of your electives courses in London. Or you can choose Columbia Business School in New York and do same 4 to 5 of your courses. That means around 3 to 4 months in New York. So you can see the basic design of the program itself. It can lead to global careers because the kind of exposure you're going to get. So through Hong Kong, that 8 to 9 months, you get strong Asia exposure. But then by going to London or by going to New York, and that too in top institutions like LBS or Columbia, you're able to get that global environment as to what's happening in the global business environment, and at the same time have a very strong international network. Next slide, please. So this structure then leads us to how else we are able to contribute to you getting a global career through the career services. At HKU MBA, we only take 50 people, right? We only take 50 students. That's it for our full-time MBA students. That means that from the career services point of view, each one of you are going to get a lot of personal attention, because everybody in the career services is going to know you, know what exactly you want to achieve in your career, what exactly you would, which location is preferred for you, and then work towards it. And how do we work towards it? Through learning and development curriculum. So we have a proper L&D curriculum, which is designed to make sure that you get the right amount of coaching, you get the right amount of mentorship, you're able to understand what the market dynamics are, what are some of the choices, what are the kind of jobs available, understanding different countries and different job markets. We do a lot of company information sessions. That means regularly from the very beginning of the MBA journey, companies start coming into the campus from pretty much from September. And we start working with you even before you land in Hong Kong. So before you land in Hong Kong, we start working with you in terms of your making sure your CV is in order. Also, because it helps us to understand who you are. So by the time you come in and you land in Hong Kong, you start your MBA journey, the career services team exactly knows what's the entire makeup of the class. What kind of opportunities would this batch or this class would be looking for? And then they can start, working with our corporate partners. There's a strong element of executive coaching as well. And let me tell you how this journey is going to be. Next slide, please. So you can see the entire timeline that in your MBA actually starts in August, but in July, we start working with you in terms of making sure your CV is properly done. We will have a lot of one-to-one coaching with you, which will tell you about when you come to Hong Kong, how this journey is going to be. And then from August till October, you can see we'll have a lot of professional workshop, leadership forum series. That means inviting very senior executives from different industries to come and share their experience with you. Parallelly, we are working with you in terms of developing your soft skills, your leadership skills, either through student clubs or through specific workshops we'll be undertaking. And at the same time, we'll be also doing a lot of training and coaching through one-to-one interaction. Because as I said, we only take 50 students. So that means that each one of you would get very personalized coaching from very senior executives and professional coaches in terms of what your career journey should be, what's your strength, how to utilize that. Because sometimes, especially for international students, you may not understand what are the opportunities in Hong Kong, what are the opportunities for you in US, what are the opportunities for you in Singapore. And that's where the coaching and learning and development workshops come in. Next slide, please. Parallelly, as I said, we will be also working on making sure that you do the right kind of networking with alumni, with industry folks, with, of course, students from other programs in the business school. We also want to make sure that you get regular updates on internships and job opportunities. So we have a job portal in which all the jobs from not just the Hong Kong, but from the entire region will be posted. And as I mentioned, this journey of continuously companies coming into the campus continues throughout this, or I would say the entire MBA program as such. Now, one very important part of all this is that you will be also be part of mini career fairs. So individual companies will, of course, come to the campus, but at the same time, we will also have 2 career fairs where companies can give direct offers or internships. Thank you. Next slide, please. And we do work with our corporate partners really very closely. So we always have the HR leaders forum. We make sure that we have senior executives coming in, whether it's Bain, Richmond, or FinTech Roundtable. And this is all led by you, students. So that way you are able to connect with companies better and connect with executives better. Next slide, please. This is some of the companies which were part of the what I talked about, the career fair. So, from Bloomberg, Adidas to Deloitte, to KPMG, PwC, Richmond, Manulife, Jardine Matheson. So these were part of the fair, what I talked about. Of course, companies like JP Morgan or Citi, they come on an individual basis because they are looking for probably a larger set of people to recruit. Next slide, please. One of the very important part of HKU MBA or as a location, Hong Kong, is that Hong Kong is looking to retain talent. And I really repeat this because in a lot of MBA program, once you finish, you're done with, you need to leave the country. But it's absolutely opposite in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we want to retain the talent. And that's why we have this immigration arrangement for non-local graduates. That means all the international students who finish the MBA in Hong Kong will be able to get their own visa. And this is great because once you get your own visa, you're not dependent on a company to sponsor you, which means you can also easily change jobs or even start your entrepreneurial venture because of this visa. Next slide, please. So another very important aspect of career services, which helps you to probably get that global career which you're looking for, is a very strong mentorship program. So each one of our students will be assigned a very senior executive as a mentor. And we work with you in terms of the matching of this mentor. So we kind of understand what your career path is, which industry or which function would you like to undertake post your MBA, and then match a mentor who is able to really provide you the right insights, share their experience about that particular industry, and also in many cases, help you connect with their network. So this mentorship program has been doing very well for us. And we do believe that that has contributed tremendously towards our students getting good career options. Next slide, please. So overall, our career report for class of 2021 has been extremely positive, and many factors play a role. One, as I said, because we have a dedicated career services for MBA, and at the same time, we take a smaller batch. So that means a lot of personal attention is given to you. Of course, the visa, the ease of visa in Hong Kong plays another very important role. So overall, Hong Kong continues to be a very strong market. So we have had 90% employment rate within the first 3 months of graduation. And 3 things are very important, right? Your change of job function, change of location, and change of industry. And you can see these numbers for us is very good. 81% change jobs and around 70% change industry and functionality. 94% of our students for this batch are working in Asia. I would say in general, I would say around 70 to 80% on an average would work in Asia. Primarily in Asia would be Hong Kong, Singapore, and Shanghai. And then another 20% would be in the rest of the world. Thank you. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the partners or recruiting partners for 2021. So you can see BCG, Citi, JP Morgan, PwC, Snyder, KPMG, large BASF, large companies, but at the same time, fintech companies like BCW, or even marketing companies like AB InBev and JD.com, which is again a tech company. So it's a very diversified portfolio, including luxury companies like Gucci. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to keep it really short because, as I said, just to want to give an overview of our career services, because today I think you should be listening more to our alums, Akshay, Shreya, and Vaishali. They have been very kind to give their precious time. And as I said, I am also an alum, but I work for the business school now. So I think the four of us will be very happy to answer any questions you have. But I will now leave it to Sanjay to take it from here. Thank you. Just one more last thing, that in case you want to know a little bit more about our career services, probably you can also join another session we are going to have tomorrow, which is led by our career services, Ernest and Vivian. And they will be talking about job opportunities, especially in marketing, FMCG, and tech industry, to say so. All right. Thank you. Sanjay, all yours.
Great. Thanks, Sachin. Thanks for that insightful session. Before we invite Akshay, Shreya, and Vaishali to talk to the audience and answer their questions, let me run our next poll and get some feedback or some motivation from the some drivers from the audience as well. So to the audience, if you can see on your screen right now, there's a poll which is live, which is, what is your primary motivation for wanting to pursue an MBA at this point in your life? So are you looking to do an MBA to change your role? Are you doing it to change your location? Are you doing it to change your industry? Or is it a combination of multiple of these options, or none of the above as well? So let us know, what is your primary motivation for wanting to pursue an MBA at this point in your life? All right. I do have around 50 responses so far, with around 200 attendees in the audience. So I'm going to keep this live for another 30 seconds. So those of you who are listening to me, please let us know, what is your primary motivation for wanting to pursue an MBA? Is it the change of role? Is it the change of location? Is it the change of industry? Or is it a combination of multiple of these factors? All right. We're close to 65 responses. I'm going to wait till 75 responses. So 10 more responses needed. So please let us know, what is your primary motivation for wanting to pursue an MBA at this point in your career? All right. Unfortunately, I'm going to be disappointed. So I didn't reach that 75 mark, but I'm still going to show the results. So the primary motivation for the majority of audience is a combination of these factors. So it's multiple of change of role, location, or industry. So it's a combination of these factors which is driving our audience to look at pursuing an MBA at this point in their life. So with that, let me invite Akshay, Shreya, and Vaishali to join us. Akshay, Shreya, Vaishali, if you're able to turn on your videos, please do so. It would be great to see all three of you over here. Great. So we are live with all three of them. And Renee, if you're comfortable, let the presentation be on. We can have those in the background, their profile in the backdrop as well. So coming to our first question, and here I'm going to encourage the audience to ask us their question as well. But before we get started with the audience question, why don't each one of you introduce yourself, take us through your journey. So tell us what you are doing pre your HKU MBA. So how do you, what did you do prior to your MBA? Then give us a brief overview of your MBA journey. So tell us which track of the MBA program, the London track or the New York track or the China track did you follow? And then tell us what you're doing currently. So in brief, please do introduce yourself. Akshay, do you want to go first?
All right. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Akshay Rao, and I was, as you can see, the class of 2017. Prior to the MBA, I used to be in advisory, and I did a little bit of supply chain before coming to Hong Kong. And One of the main reasons I chose to be in Hong Kong was because I did see a future in supply chain and retail for myself. And Hong Kong at that point and still has a very strong presence of global apparel brands in terms of sourcing and retail functions. So that was one of the primary drivers for me to come to Hong Kong. It was quite a, for me, I would say, laser focus in terms of where I wanted to be. In terms of the MBA journey, it is, as Sachin said, a very personalized kind of environment because there's only 55 people in the class, at least for my batch, and we had, if I'm not wrong, about 14, 15 nationalities. So the class mix was great. The small class atmosphere really adds value in terms of knowing stuff, knowing your classmates, and learning a bit about different cultures. The China immersion program was very interesting, and it gives you a perspective because I hadn't been to mainland China in the past. So that gave a really crystal clear picture of how business is kind of done in China and how is it different, or what are the synergies between China and the other parts of the world. Then I also did London Business School, which was a very interesting experience and different from the China immersion program. But there you sit in much larger class environments. You're sharing the classes with what London Business School has in terms of executive MBAs. They have global MBA programs. They have Sloan students. So these guys are very senior executives who are actually sitting with you on your left and right, and you do classes with them. So that for me was a very interesting learning journey as well. Fast forward to post MBA, I did a couple of internships. I worked with a German apparel retailer in supply chain, managing projects for their sourcing operations for a couple of years. And very recently, I moved to an American retailer called Ralph Lauren, again, running projects for sourcing expansion and strategy for them. So for me, it's been a great experience so far. Yeah, I mean, that's all. I'll wait for the other people to add value, and just maybe if you have questions, feel free to shoot them out. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Akshay. Shreya?
Sure. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. So for me, myself, I think I would call myself an HKU or Hong Kong university veteran, because I also did my undergrad from the University of Hong Kong back in 2010. I joined HKU, and then I finished in 2013. So after that, I actually got a head start in consulting. I joined McKinsey and Company right from HKU. And then I loved the program, and the school and the country so much that I joined back for my MBA in 2016. My program was the University of Hong Kong along with the Columbia Business School. So I went to the US and finished my program there. Post which I again joined back into consulting. So it just added like a booster to my CV and to my background. Currently, I am based out of Singapore. So I'm working with PwC as a manager within risk financial services space. I've been with the region. I was also working in Hong Kong previously. I was with Deloitte. I think the University of Hong Kong pretty much gave me like a very, very good Asian as well as Western experience. I've also had some work experience within the US and also within Europe. But yes, mostly my experience has been with the Hong Kong and Singapore, where I'm currently am. And as Sachin rightly pointed out during his presentation, that it gives you a very good flavor into Asia, where most of the business is. You have most of your regional headquarters based out of either Hong Kong or Singapore for most of the multinational companies as well. If you're looking at a career within the financial services space, I think it's a very good time to be in Asia. The market is booming, especially after post-COVID. The job opportunities are humongous in this region. And I think it's a great place to be in currently at this point in time. So yeah, my journey also has been pretty much similar to what Akshay pointed out. The class size is small, which is a very, very big advantage as compared to the other universities throughout the world. It gives you that very, very strong connection to your classmates and your network. It's a very personal connection that we've all formed throughout the years post our MBA, and we still continue to remain in touch, through different means, and try to meet each other as much as possible. Also, the career services at HKU are very, very good. I think most of us are, very, very, we do interact with the career services even till today to understand from them and understand the opportunities which come around the corner. And, we have a strong alumni network as well. So I think we all have a pretty strong bond, and I think that all, keeps us all together. I might just take a pause and see if anybody has any questions later to answer specifically, but yeah, looking forward to interacting with all of you further. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shreya. Thanks for the introduction. Over to you, Vaishali. You are the youngest in the group, I'm assuming. So the last one.
Yes.
Great to hear from you as well.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Vishali, and I'm from class of 2020. Before my MBA, I did my studies in India. I did Bachelor's of Technology in IT. And after that, I joined Tata Consultancy Services for 3.5 years. After working there, I applied to HKU MBA and got this wonderful opportunity to study there. The reason for me to go for HKU MBA, I would say in 4 points. Number one, the size of the batch. Because we had, at least in my batch, around 50 to 55 people, we got the opportunity to connect very well with people coming from different cultures as well as from different backgrounds. So we had people from let's say marketing, legal, and therefore it gave an opportunity to connect with them on a personal as well as professional level and learn from them, right? Number two was the duration of the program. Having worked for 3 years in India, I think 1 year program was the best duration for me, because I worked earlier. Now I wanted to study and gain more exposure and then move towards to further steps in the ladder of my professional growth. So 1 year was perfect in my development goal. And then the third point was the exchange opportunities. So in my opinion, HKU MBA is such a program in which you get an opportunity to get an exposure from the Asia side of the world. And then as well as on the same hand, you get the option to choose to go to the States or to London to get more of the Western exposure. So I chose the London track, and I got the opportunity to I could not travel to London because of the COVID situations, but I could attend the program online. And fourth, last but not the least, is Hong Kong as a place. I feel that Hong Kong is a business hub, and it is the largest financial hub of the world. So MBA is an experience. It's not just in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. And Hong Kong is a great destination in terms of that, because you meet so many people outside of the campus. You have a lot of on-site visits, wherein you can meet a lot of people. And most importantly, Hong Kong is a very expat-friendly city, wherein you can build relationships with these people and learn a lot. Now, at the moment, I'm in Germany, and I am working with Delivery Hero, which is an acquisition-based food delivery company. As you can see, I'm wearing a Food Panda hoodie here. So I'm working in the logistics operations as a senior specialist, and my work revolves around the logistics of the food deliveries. So let me know if you have any questions for me.
Great. Thanks, Vaishali. Thanks for introducing yourself. So all three of you are doing really interesting jobs. You are with big brands. Quick question, how did you crack your first opportunity post your MBA? So I know you have changed jobs since then, but was the first opportunity post MBA facilitated through the HKU Career Services, or did these open up through some networking or some alumni network?
I can start off. So the first internship that I got was facilitated by the CDO. We called it back then, and it was an internship with Infinity Motors, which is the premium car division of Nissan, Nissan Motor Corporation. So they had a pretty good MBA program, MBA internship program that went year on year, and we would have MBA candidates from all 3 business schools in Hong Kong, as well as SEEBS and a couple of American schools that ran with 20-25 of us. So that was the first opportunity that I did get. But in general, my next opportunities were I kind of found them myself. But having said that, the career services, with the number of people they had over the years, they have been super helpful in reaching out to people, bridging connections, making introductions, or sometimes even themselves taking me with them to meet people. So I think they play a very important role in kind of understanding where one's skill set lie, what one wants to do, as well as making the right connections when it matters. And it still happens till date. Till date, I still have the flexibility to actually reach out to them because of the interpersonal relationships you develop with the CDO and the MBA office. That, hey, there's an alumni here. Would you be kind enough to like make an introduction? And that works till date. So that's something. Yeah, that's my experience.
Great. Shreya, what about you? So did you have an opportunity with Deloitte? Sorry, did I get it correct? Deloitte or KPMG? Or
Deloitte, yeah, Deloitte.
So was that
Yes.
opportunity cracked before you went to London, or did you crack it once you were at LBS?
Yes. So for me, it was a combination of a lot of factors. So I had a mentor who was working in Deloitte as well as in KPMG at that point in time. And I was quite in touch. So actually, Deloitte wasn't my very first opportunity after the MBA. I was working with a company called Alpha Sites, which is also a global knowledge brokerage firm. However, I just worked there for a few months, and then I had a mentor in Deloitte who actually connected me to an opportunity which came up within Deloitte very soon after I joined Alpha Sites, actually. And I found it pretty interesting. So I decided to take that on right after a few months of my MBA. So he also introduced me to another, a colleague of his who was working in KPMG back then. So I had another opportunity, to pursue with them. But the opportunity with Deloitte was better. So I went on with that. So I would say that, it was a combination of the career services, understanding what I wanted to do, as well as connecting me with the right mentor who actually helped me with finding these job opportunities, which actually kickstarted my career really well. Post that, because I had consulting experience within India, within the US, within Hong Kong, I finally found another opportunity within PwC in Singapore 2 years ago. So it just acted like a spring post that, and here I am today in Singapore, and so I would say it was a combination of different factors, and definitely that interpersonal connection with the careers office really has helped and is helping us till date today. So yeah, that was my journey.
Very interesting. What about you, Vaishali? So studying in Hong Kong, you did the London track, right? You were supposed to do the LBS track, but you weren't able to go there because of the COVID lockdown. How did you end up cracking an opportunity in Germany?
Yes. So before coming to Germany, I actually cracked the opportunity for an internship in Hong Kong with the CLP Holdings, which is Asia Pacific's largest energy operator, which was an interesting story. It was a networking session in a restaurant where I think Sachin, you were there. And I met an alum, and then we were discussing what are my desired goals in Hong Kong. And then I got this opportunity of this internship through that alum. So I think that networking session, which Hong Kong you always organized, were very helpful for me. For Germany, I would say when I was in India, then I was looking for jobs in Europe, European countries. And then the MBA office helped me a lot because we had a lot of sessions where we discussed which location do I want to go to, which kind of role, which kind of company I'm looking for. And then MBA office really helped me with what should be my approach in finding the jobs, and how should I reach out to people in LinkedIn. And through that constant guidance and constant learning and constant collaboration from MBA office, I got the opportunity in Germany through LinkedIn.
So very interesting. So if I'm hearing this correctly, right, a lot of the school's resources, so whether it's the career services department or networking events or mentorship program, these have been in some way or the other been responsible for cracking or helping you get where you are currently. Would that be right thing to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Actually, that also reminded me for myself when I was doing my MBA. I also had this very wonderful opportunity with Akzo Nobel, which is like a very big chemicals company. And I was offered their rotation program right after the MBA, which was starting off in Amsterdam and going to Shanghai, and then it was a global program. That was also a very, very interesting opportunity. So for any of you who are also looking for, not just Asia, but also looking to go out of the region, I also wanted to point out that there are many, many, many opportunities out there as well. However, my focus was within the region, so I stayed here. But that was another very interesting offer that I had just after my MBA as well. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Sure, thanks for that. And I want to touch briefly upon about your experience on the various tracks. So Akshay, you did the Columbia track. Vaishali, Shreya, you did the LBS track, right? So how were your experiences? So you did touch upon those briefly in your introduction, but can you take us through more detail? How much time did you spend at Columbia or LBS? How was the whole interaction over there? Did you face any challenges in your networking or gelling with the alumni or students at your various partner schools?
For me, I went to LBS actually. For me, it was an interesting experience, and there were no hiccups in general. I would say in terms of the experience I had or the process leading up to LBS. It's a different kind of structure there is. It's a much bigger business school in terms of the number of classes and the number of people that attend each class. Because what they do is, and HKU Business School also does it, but they have a lot more executive programs that kind of sit with you. So what that does is increases the class size drastically. So you're not just sitting with close to 100 people there. And that experience in itself is quite interesting, like I said, because it gives you something beyond the case study. Because I remember this very specific instance, we were talking about banking in Africa, and someone who actually was a member or as an employee of one of the banks actually came and spoke up about their experience of why it didn't actually work. So then we had that little relation between what the case study was talking about and the actual life scenario that went on in that specific case. So it brings in a very different perspective. And we also had a lot of guest speakers there in their in LBS, owing to the location. In Hong Kong also we do have guest speakers, but in LBS, owing to the location, you have and its close proximity to Europe, they are able to bring in a little more different sets of speakers, that just fly into London for a class and then fly back. So we had that as well. So I think the ability to stay in London, interact with their cohort, was something quite interesting. Networking is pretty easy there because everyone is an MBA or a business school student. So that community can automatically, it's a very comfortable, community in which no one really says no usually. I mean, everyone's quite open to answering a question, or even now if you just reach out to someone, state that you're from, Hong Kong, you're LBS, and that alumni connect kind of is instant. So that was nice. I think it really opens up a lot of opportunity. I think even Shreya can attest for Columbia maybe, but LBS was pretty interesting that way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Akshay. I mean, I completely resonate with what you said. Even for Colombia, it was very similar. Just imagine in a span of say about a little more than 1 year, you get to experience two different parts of the world, the best parts of Asia as well as Europe or the US. For my experience, it was New York. Just imagine living in Hong Kong and New York in a span of 1 year, and interacting with so many different people. Learning so many different things from different courses that you do within the Hong Kong, that your time when you're in Hong Kong for the 8 months. I think you can experience different types of courses which could be Asia focused. When you move out to Europe or US, you can actually focus on their geographies, understand what the region is all about, what types of opportunities are there, expand your network to not just within Asia, also beyond. And you get best of both the worlds in a very, very short span of time. And I think what better return on investment can anybody get right out of this? So yeah, I think it's a perfect mix of as much of a multicultural experience as you would want to get can't get any better than this. Yeah.
Very interesting. And Vaishali, I know you're due to speak about this, and I'm going to ask you to cover an additional point in your response. And this is also a question from a candidate chairman. He's asking, did you notice any differences in the business practices and culture in the partner school and at HKU? So you can also touch upon it from a teaching perspective. So while I understand your LBS track happened mainly online, but did you notice any difference in the teaching approaches which the faculty used, or how the students were interacting at LBS compared to HKU?
Sure. So I will answer this question. So I was doing my program online, so I could not be there in person, but definitely there are cultural and there are teaching differences in every school. But the best thing is that we were able to experience the both. So for example, I would like to give an example of case studies. In Hong Kong, when we were there, we were focusing more on Asia-focused company case studies, because I think that was more helpful for us. But when I was doing the LBS program, we had case studies from, let's say, European companies, right? So that gave me the opportunity to know more about the European style of the companies and European companies' case studies. So this was like one difference. Another thing I would say that one benefit of being in both parts of the world was we used to have a lot of sessions in which we had speakers for, let's say, from JP Morgan Hong Kong and JP Morgan London. And then you get to know and you get to compare what are the differences and what are the similarities as well. So I would say that this is a perfect program in which I got to experience both parts of the world in a very short span of time.
Wonderful. Great to hear that. And very interesting, how, through a one-year program, you got an opportunity to study in Asia at one of the top schools in Asia, and also got to study at one of the top schools in the West as well. So you did LBS, Akshay, you did Columbia. So that exposure is, I'm sure, extremely valuable. At this point, I want to take up one more audience question, and this is from Swapnil. His question is the 1 year enough to do all of this, right? There's just so much to do in an MBA program. And I did a 1-year MBA program as well, and I found it extremely rigorous, extremely challenging as well at times. How did you balance all of this? How did you maximize your learning at HKU and maximize the learning at the partner schools as well? Shreya, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I can go first. I think it's about passion for me to start with. When I went into the program, I wanted to give it my all, and I wanted to have the best time and the best experience possible. And when you go in with that drive and that mindset, I think everything comes on very naturally to you. When you get into that environment, when you start your classes, you're automatically meeting so many new people. You start to network, you start to make friends and connections. You also have that hunger to learn, so you want to take up as many courses that you want, that you can take within your possible semesters. You want to talk to as many professors as you want. You also want to do your other activities, like you want to join clubs, you want to meet more people, also participate in other cultural activities around the school. And I think when you start enjoying all of these things, it becomes like very natural, and you want to do more of it. So for me, when I went into that journey, I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to capture as much as that I could grasp and pull out into my experience as much as possible. Also, personally, for me, I think I found it an advantage to have a shorter program rather than having a 2 years programs, because for a lot of us, we are actually leaving our full-time jobs and going on to study or pursue an MBA, which is a cost that you are spending, and getting much more out of your because you also have not just your tuition, your living expenses and other kind of things, right? So that is also a consideration for a lot of people. And I do feel that if it's a shorter program, you can grasp as much as possible, at the same time get back to the workforce very, very quickly as well. So I think in my case, I found it a very, very big advantage for myself, because I didn't have a very big career break as well. So yeah, that was my experience.
And you feel you made the most of the opportunity, the learning experience which was possible during that 1 year itself?
Absolutely. I think I took as many different types of courses that I wanted to take. I planned my journey in a way that I picked the best courses possible from the courses available in HKU, as well as, then I decided to complement that with other courses that were available in Columbia Business School. So the beauty of this is that, you do get a lot of information upfront. You can plan your courses, you can plan your semesters well. You can, start with, say, core curriculums, which are, say, more related to your core subjects like finance or accounting or, economics and all those kind of things. So you can put that in one semester. The other semester, you can focus more on electives. Some people want to, like, juggle in between both. So it depends on your priorities as well. Sometimes you want to, focus on one semester mainly on, your career. So you can maybe make that semester a bit lighter, right? So you can take lesser courses in one semester. So you have that flexibility to move things around quite a bit as well. So I think you can definitely make most out of it by, planning way ahead in that way, I would say.
Apologies to everyone. I keep mixing up your tracks. So I keep mixing up between Columbia and LBS.
No worries.
So let me get this correct. So Shreya studied at Columbia, Akshay
Yes.
and Vaishali studied at LBS.
That's
So
right.
Akshay, what is your take? 1 year versus 2 year? You think 1 year was enough to make the most of so many things which were on offer?
Yeah, I think so. If you time it well, if you can manage it, definitely. I was just looking at the participant list. I saw a lot of Indian names, and I'm not generalizing, but I've heard from a lot of my classmates that, oh, we have these classes at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. This doesn't happen abroad. So we have very normal schedules. Each class is spaced out well. There is no overt pressure or excessive pressure. You are doing all-nighters sometimes, but it's not like on an everyday basis that you're cramming 2 years worth of stuff in a year's program. These are very well thought out programs, and it's not the only 1 year program in the world. So it's enough. It really depends on how the person themselves is kind of set out, as Shreya pointed out. I think Vaishali and Sachin will also agree. It's been like this, and it really depends on oneself and how you want to maximize it. In the 3 regions, yes, the traveling can get a bit hectic for some, but if you've been in a role where you've needed to be agile and fluid and adjust to situations, it's pretty normal. It's not a big thing. Yeah, that's my take on it. And even if you look at the EMBAs, some of them is an executive MBA program where a lot of senior leaders come. Their schedules require them to travel across, if I'm not wrong, Sachin, correct me, London, New York, Dubai, and Hong Kong sometimes for a week-long program, which we call block mode, or used to call block mode. They fly in the morning, they attend the classes, and they fly out the Friday evening. And they do this on a continuous basis while managing their work. So it's nothing new. It's pretty doable, and it's not like you're stretched for time. If you're stretched for time, then there's always scope for efficiency, the way I look at it. Yeah.
That's a great response. At this point, I'm going to bring in Sachin. And Sachin, there are some questions coming in, so the audience is obviously interested. They want to find out how can they apply, what are the deadlines, are there any scholarships available? So any guidance over there?
So we are now going through the admission processes. So if you are interested in the 2022 intake, which starts in end of August, then this is the time to apply. So basically in the next couple of months, our application system will remain open. We do admission mostly on a rolling basis. So as the applications come in, we start processing it. Of course, the next deadline will be 25th of February. But we will have another deadline in March and then April. So those will, I would say by April, we should be done. So the next couple of months you have to apply. And apply it's a very simple process of making application, which is online now. So there is no rocket science involved there. At the same time, we do have a system in place where both admission and scholarship decisions are taken together. So which means that students don't have to apply separately for scholarship. And also, as I said, we take the decision together because we want to be as transparent as possible. So we will make admission decision and then also inform you whether you got the scholarship or you didn't get the scholarship. Scholarship typically would be anything between 20% to 40% of the tuition fee, depending on factors like previous education, most importantly, your work experience, the quality of your work experience, of course, the Gmat GRE score, and the interview performance. But for us, both the admission decision and the scholarship decision is more based on the quality of your work experience, not quantity. I must repeat again, quality of your work experience and the interview performance. Because we take a smaller cohort, we do give a lot of importance to the interview we have with the candidate. So yeah, so that's what I would say about the admissions.
Sachin, given majority of audience is from India, are there still spots available? I know India, you must be seeing a lot of applications from India, so you must have admitted quite a few already as well. Are there still sufficient spots available for Indian applicants to make it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we make sure that during the entire process of admission, there are enough places for each of the, I would say, admission deadlines to say so, because we are not into the business of just attracting large number of applications because it looks good on the paper. But we are genuinely, I would say, spots available, and genuinely scholarship spots available as well. So absolutely. So next couple of months, if people think that this program would be one of the choices for me, it could be one of the places I want to be, then definitely I would strongly suggest and recommend that they apply in the next couple of months.
All right. And Sachin, what about the costing? What is it that the audience should be looking for, budgeting for?
Yeah. So in terms of the tuition fee, it's Hong Kong dollars, 588,000. So that's the Hong Kong dollars tuition fee for the entire program. That means both the Hong Kong part and London or New York, you don't have to pay separate tuition fee for that. It's the entire tuition fee would be that. As I said, scholarships would be probably say 20% to 40%, depending upon your background and what you bring to the table, to say so. Living cost in Hong Kong has gone down dramatically due to, yeah, there it is. I think, yeah, but this, so living cost, this is a general living cost, but as such, it's gone down recently. Both Akshay and I, we were talking about it also some time back, that the rentals in Hong Kong have gone down and overall the cost has gone down. So this is probably a good time to be in Hong Kong.
So,
yeah,
would it be correct to say that rentals have gone down because of the COVID situation? A lot of expats have maybe moved back to their home country, opening up a lot of real estate, plus opening up a lot of opportunities as well.
Yes, there are tremendous opportunities. As we were talking before going live in Hong Kong, as of now, there are tremendous opportunities. Businesses are growing. Hong Kong continues to be an extremely strong economy. And in terms of the investments coming in, it's again continues to be on the higher side. And that's why the opportunities for our current batch are so good that even before they go, because they're just now going to leave for London and New York in a month's time, but some of the job offers they're getting are so good that they are even considering that, oh, should I stay back in Hong Kong to finish my MBA and start a bit more quicker than going to London or New York. So that's something which we are discussing with students on a daily basis now, because the opportunities in the market are so good.
All right. Sachin, one question over here. What is the, so you mentioned 20 to 40% can be covered through scholarship for the meritorious students. What percentage of the cohort ends up getting a scholarship?
Right. So that depends really from cohort to cohort. We actually don't have a quota. So there are not any fixed quota which is given to us by the university. We have a flexibility of making sure that to get a good batch, and if your background is good, then just because we have given 10 scholarship doesn't mean that we'll not be able to give the 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th or 16th scholarship. So absolutely, if you believe that you have a good background, you do well in the interview, then we will surely consider you for scholarships.
All right, interesting. One more question over here, Sachin. So the MBA cohort is 55 students strong. Some of them get a chance to go to LPS, some of them go to Columbia, some also have an option to go to the China track at Fudan University. How is this split managed? And some may choose to stay back in Hong Kong as well and complete their whole program at HKU itself. So how does this work out? How do the course offerings and cohort management take place?
we actually, at the application stage, we work with the applicants. See, we want to make sure that the best choice is given to them. So in our application system, you can tell us what's your first choice and second choice and third choice, right? So you can rate them. And then during the interview, we actually have a discussion about that. So and then of course we try to also, because we know what those schools stand for and what are they good for. So we work with the candidate. So when you get admitted into HKU MBA, you also get the track, which is London track, New York or Hong Kong track or Fudan track. And I would say in large majority of the cases, it would be your first choice, unless we strongly believe for a reason that probably the other track is better for you. And we'll work it out with you. We will talk with you. We'll explain to you why we think that that track would be better for you.
All right, that's wonderful. And I think I got the tuition fee amount correct, but I think some of the audience missed it. So is it 588,000? So 5,88,000 Hong Kong dollars. Would that be correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
And roughly in INR, that would be around INR 55 lakhs. 55,
yes,
50.
Roughly it would be around, between 50 to, 55 lakhs, into 9 point something. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great. So I hope, Nisha, that answers your question. To the audience, if you have more questions for Sachin or the alumni or panelists, then please post them in the Q&A chat box. I will pick up the relevant questions. Now, some additional questions which are, this is in continuation to the financing part. Is there any other way that the students can keep their costs down? Can they take up part-time jobs? Is there an option to do an internship on something over there, or any other way to get financing arranged?
Right. So it's a 1-year program. So definitely I would say a part-time job is really not an option, and nor is Hong Kong a place where students can be seen doing part-time job as such. But of course, the part-time internships are definitely there. A very large portion of our students actually do internship, which is also approved by the immigration. So in Hong Kong, you can legally work for 20 hours a week for 4 months. Okay, so out of that 8 months that you're in Hong Kong, legally you're able to work for 20 hours a week for 4 months. So that gives you a fair enough time to do your part-time internship. In some cases, some people do 2 or 3 internships, not at the same time, but they want to stagger it to experience different industries or different companies. So yeah, that's absolutely possible.
All right, very interesting. And you also do have a tie-up with Prodigy Finance. So those who are looking to get funding from external sources,
that's right.
Finance is an option, and I'm sure most or almost all of the Indian private sector and public sector banks would support the students as well to get a loan to fund their education.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Prodigy Finance is, I do remember some of Akshay's and Vaishali's classmate did use Prodigy Finance. And of course, all the public sector banks are also available in terms of additional funding if the students want to do.
All right, great. Lastly, questions are coming around what do you look for in prospective candidates, right? So I understand Gmat GRE has some weightage, profile has some weightage, your previous academics have weightage, but any particular traits that you look for while selecting candidates?
I think the 3 great examples are here, Vaishali, Shreya, and Akshay. You can see the way they communicate, the kind of ideas they have, the motivation they had for MBA. So what are we looking for? Are we looking for something very specific? The answer is no. And I'll explain to you why. Because if you have a very set parameters, you get lookalikes. And that's what we don't want. We don't want a class of 50-55 to look alike. If you follow very strict parameters of these are the 5 things and tick the box, when you're doing the interview. So what we are looking for is really candidates who bring diversity of thought process. Diversity of nationality no longer is something which we consider as a school. The passport, what you hold, has absolutely no value, especially in India. We all know different regions, different cities, different growing up can play such an important role in how you think and what value you bring to the table. So that's what we are looking for. We want that difference. We want that difference. But at the same time, I would say one common theme would be that passion for understanding why you want to be in Asia, why you want to study in Asia, not why you want to spend your time in Asia forever, not at all. But to start with, what's your vision for yourself in choosing Hong Kong as a location? I think that for sure is a commonality, what we will look for. But beyond that, really, we want that diversity. We want that different thought process. So that's why we don't have these common parameters or tick box, what we do when we do the interviews.
Very interesting. Sachin, what is the average GMAT of the cohort at HKU?
So my sincere answer and request to the applicants, never, ever, I repeat, never, ever follow any average, because then you become an average. So never follow what is the average age of the class, never follow what is the average work experience of the class, GMAT, GRE. Why? Because that may be relevant to certain schools who are again looking for that lookalikes, and they want everybody to fit into that bracket. Not at our school. We will take somebody with very high GMAT. We will also take somebody with absolutely low GRE or GMAT, because all the other factors have compensated for that. So there are 4 factors, right? Your previous education background, not your GPA, your previous education background. What institution, what kind of a course have you done? Then your GMAT, GRE score, your quality of your work experience, and your interview performance. So we look at these 4 factors and then make a decision, and one factor can compensate for another. So for example, you might have very good work experience and you're very confident you're going to do well in your interview. Then having a lower GMAT or GRE is fine, because the other 2 components are going to be very strong. But at the same time, you might feel, what, my academic institution where I went and did my undergraduation was not that strong, or the course I did was not that strong. Then probably for you to have a little bit more higher GMAT or GRE would be able to kind of compensate that part. So that's how we look at a candidate very holistically. So it doesn't matter what the average is, because we are not going to look at that average and judge you. We are going to judge you based on who you are.
That is great to hear and very insightful and very relevant to the audience. So don't get misled by averages. Averages can be extremely misleading. And we have seen this, and I would vouch for that from experience as well. So great advice over there, Sachin. Look at your profile, look at what you bring to the table, communicate that in your application, and possibly that is your best chance at cracking a top tier MBA program like HKU. I'm going to go back to Shreya, Vaishali, and Akshay now and bring them into an aspect of the conversation. So firstly, Shreya, Vaishali, Akshay, any regrets? All 3 of you are HKU alumni. If you look back at your past 5-7 years, or since you started your HKU MBA, any regrets? Anyone wants to go first? I think everyone's nodding their head no, so I'm assuming no regrets, but anyone wants to take a shot at this?
I mean, in today's world, I think everybody has FOMO, if I can call it that way, right? You want to be able to, do everything as much as possible. But I think you have to prioritize. You have to understand yourself and what you're looking for, and what is your purpose of doing the MBA. Is it, career progression? Is it learning experience? Is it networking? Is it, just experiencing the Asian region? Or, what is it? What is it that you're looking for? And prioritize according to that. I personally don't have any regrets as such. I wouldn't be able to point out and say, okay, this is what I wanted to do. But if I really think hard, maybe something that I didn't do was, just take up an internship during my MBA, that 1 year that I was there. But it was a choice, I would say. I wanted to, spend more time with my classmates. I wanted to, spend more time studying. So yeah, that's something I could have done, and maybe, experienced more different types of companies, or, worked with more people. But I think looking ahead, I do see a lot of other value in, the relationships that I've formed over the period of time. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a regret as such. Yeah.
Fair. So Akshay, Vaishali, if you want to take a shot at this, please feel free. Also, if you can share any advice for our prospective applicants, right? A lot of the audience are looking to pursue their MBA soon, are possibly looking to apply to HKU as well. So any advice for the audience?
Vishali, go ahead.
Sure. Sure. So first of all, talking about the regrets, I think, yes, as Shreya said, we have this FOMO for everything. For me, it would be that when there was this COVID situation, so HKU was very cooperative in that situation. And they gave us an option to either do the semester online during that period of time or postpone it and do it in person later on. So many of my classmates did it in person and they postponed the semester to the fall semester. So I chose to do it online at that point of time. So I would not call it a regret, but I think, yes, it was a choice given to me and I took the online one. But maybe if it were today, maybe I would have taken the in-person one because it would have been a different experience. So I would not call it a regret, but yes, a choice. Coming to the second question, which is advice. So my advice to all the applicants would be that consider MBA as an experience. And because you're in the largest business hub of the world, come with an open mind and do not target only on the industries in which you want a job, but try to meet people from different industries because you always get some learnings and exposure. And whenever you meet someone from different industry, there is something, which you can always learn and apply to your own industry. That would be my one advice.
Yeah, I mean,
Very apt advice. Please go ahead, Akshay.
in terms of regret, I wouldn't say there are any stark regrets I had. I think if it was, I could have utilized my time better to learn a language. I've been there 6 years and I still struggle with the local language. So that's something in hindsight would have really helped. And not just Cantonese or Mandarin. We did have in the China immersion program, we did study Putonga for a month, but follow up on that. It's a very key skill to have, be it Chinese, or I used to work with a German company earlier. So even be German. So that's something I think could have been added, skill in the skill set that I have. In terms of advice, I would say it's all about soft skills. Don't go looking at courses depending on the kind of course, I mean, on the subjects they offer or what the criteria of the school is or what the average Financial Times, median salaries and XYZ are. Look at what you want to achieve, which is a region you want to be in. And these things won't come to you that easily. You really cannot see that far out ahead when you're sitting at home looking at 10 different websites. One is 5 US schools, 5 Spanish schools, and 5 Asian schools. It's difficult, but it's something that you really need to do, and you learn this during the MBA program. I did that. So I would say, in hindsight, do that retrospective analysis now as to where you'd like to see yourself, be it region, be it function, and then see which school really fits you. And that would be a slightly different approach on it. And but I think that's also will help you guide your decision process.
That is great advice. So introspect, know what you want, identify that, and work towards a plan rather than just stumbling through your career. So that is extremely great advice. With that, we are towards the end of the session. So we have last 2-3 minutes left. So to the audience, if you are looking to apply to the HKU MBA program, then Feb 25th is the next deadline, but the school follows a rolling process. So you can submit your application as soon as possible and get an early decision as well. For the benefit of the audience, I'm going to post a link to the application portal in the chat box. So if you are looking to apply, you can click on that and start making your profile and start your application as well. Sachin, any parting words or advice from you to the applicants?
I would say that get connected with the school. And taking Akshay's point further, that once you have kind of said, okay, this is the location I want to be, these are some of the schools I want to apply, get in touch with the school. Try to understand what the culture of the school is. What are the strengths of the school? Don't depend on some written publications or certain websites or anything. Best is to know from the people who are there, whether it's current students, whether it's alumni, whether it's the admission team. Everybody is very helpful. I would say in Hong Kong U community, it's a very, very well-connected community and a very helpful community. So get in touch with people to understand the program better, first-hand information, right? And then take it further. Thank you.
So do your research, take an informed decision. Again, averages can be misleading, rankings can be misleading as well at times. Yes. So do your research, speak to people who have experienced the program, get feedback from them, and then take an informed decision. So this has been extremely insightful, extremely relevant. I'm quite confident that the audience has found this session extremely insightful. We have a huge number of those still sticking around till the very end of the session. So I'm quite confident this has been extremely insightful to the audience as well. So thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Shreya, Vaishali, and Akshay for taking out the time to do this session. It's pretty late in Asia, so Hong Kong, Singapore, it's pretty late in the night for you guys. Thank you for dialing in. And Vaishali, you possibly still have a couple of hours of work time left to catch up on. So thank you for doing this session. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to be hosting this session. To the audience, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to be hosting you as well. I hope you found this session useful and insightful. And as mentioned by Sachin, if you are looking for any guidance, any more insights, feel free to reach out to the HKU admissions team, and they would be ready and available to guide you further in your journey. So all the best for your MBA journey to all of you. And thank you again to the panelists. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening. Have a great night. Take care, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.